How's it going? It's Brojan here with another reaction to this Rippaverse Eric July fella. Boy, this ought to be a good one. He's going after Greenday now because he's upset with the punk community because he's a jackass.
This story for me kind of flew under the radar. Didn't even see really much of anything about it, but I do want to cover it. Now, those of you that know me as a musician, that was my first kind of claim to fame, if you want to call it that. That's what
I
my
don't.
channel first blew up on, and being in the alternative sort of scene.
See, that right there cracks you up considering how right wing leaning his political beliefs are, considering, the alternative community contains, people like Sabbath who made, War Pigs, anti-war songs. The same community that also has things like, or bands like the Rolling Stones is a big influence, which again, very much anti-Vietnam War. You have a lot of, more liberal views going on in the metal community and the alt community, so I find that very sus and think you might have been a poser, my man.
Being in metal and hardcore, I've always tripped out about these punk guys, man.
And see, that right there also confuses me because a lot of people in the metal community like us punks because we're very like-minded and we also enjoy the same kinds of music for the most part. I again think you were a poser, to be perfectly blunt.
And definitely when the Bernie Sanders craze was a thing, and just how many of these fists in the air fight the establishment, fight the authority, and how they always got behind old Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders is a great candidate for president. It's not that shocking. A lot of these people would support him, considering Sanders is the same a massive wealth tax. He wants to, do the right thing. This is the same guy that was on the forefront while being Jewish in the 50s of civil rights movements for the black community. Like, he's done a lot of great things. Why would they not support him and someone like him to be president who would have a lot more of a progressive ideal mindset than, a lot of the liberals that are in, power and running now, which are really more left or right of center more than anything. Like, yeah, it makes sense he would support Bernie Sanders.
Who is an authoritarian himself, and
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on. Did he just say Bernie Sanders is an authoritarian?
who is an authoritarian himself.
In what capacity? What way is he an authoritarian? I don't think you understand the meaning of that word, considering he's not the one that told people to, march into the Capitol because he didn't agree with the results of an election. That's the act of someone who's more of an authoritarian. What the hell are you talking about?
And he's pretty open about it.
No, he's not. You're just an idiot. I don't know how you could ever make that assumption outside of just trying to start shit.
Greenday frontman Billy Joe Armstrong called people who do not want transgender propaganda in schools.
Now, how are you going to define propaganda? Because I bet you're a big supporter of things like the Pledge of Allegiance, which is nationalistic propaganda. So, define that, please. Oh, you're right. You're not gonna, are
Or
you?
around children fucking closed minded.
They are.
Nowadays, and this is what this Billy Joe said. Nowadays, it's more common for kids to be LGBTQ. No, the T. Oh, let's say this. Maybe he's right that it's more common. It's definitely with that T thing, and that's a problem. How about that?
That's a weird thing to say that people's sexual identity is a problem, considering that, a lot of these people are born that way, my man. So you're saying the way people are born is a problem? Problematic. That's really problematic.
I will say that. Um, and continuing on here says, I just think they're fucking close minded. Says it's like people are afraid of their children. Why will you be afraid? Why won't you let your kid just be the kid that they are? And again, he's using kids. You're talking about children here. We're not talking about adults. And that's what it is that he's saying. Saying Armstrong identifies as bisexual. I didn't even know that. I guess I would have assumed.
Do you not know that? That's one of the most open out there things since the 1980s, since the late 80s when Green Day first got together. At every concert, he always guy. How are you not aware of this? how much were you actually in this community you claim to have been in? Because that's a very open thing that's known in the alt scene is that Billy Joe Armstrong is bisexual.
I should have assumed that. But here's my thing, right? Um,
What is your
yeah,
thing?
Billy Joe's a leftist. A lot of these again punk guys are leftists. That's to be accepted. But I think he's
What?
missing the point, and maybe purposely,
I
especially when
think
you
you're
throw
missing
that
the
T in
point.
there and you're talking about this subject matter. Okay,
Now, see that's what your problem is. You only want to focus on one part of this whole thing when the whole community itself is still having struggles. But you only want to focus on the T part of the community, and that's a problem, Mr. July. That's a you problem right there, and it makes me think that maybe you just have a problem with transgender people. I mean, I'm sure you probably do, but hey.
that's the issue. That's the problem. It's that we recognize that children can't consent. Okay, so to do something as drastic as that, which is going to change
It's
their lives
regards to
quite
what?
literally forever, if you're talking about the mutilation, top or bottom, right?
Yeah, except no one's talking about any of this. He's just saying that having trans materials in schools isn't problematic and you're just being closed minded. You're immediately jumping into perceived surgeries that certain kids want, but not everyone does. These aren't what's being discussed right now. What's being discussed is books that have transgender people in them being censored and taken out of school libraries and things. That's not what you want to talk about, is it, buddy? That's weird.
Just to try to, I don't know, comfort them, and because they felt, and usually it's by way of influence, they felt a certain kind of way on a certain day. It's so dangerous, especially dealing with kids. They got these hormones. They got, their ideas are going to
Everyone has
change day to
hormones.
day, and to especially
Everyone's
try
ideas
to
change day to day.
justify or legitimize or act as if this is normal. Okay, and which again then has
Act as if what's normal? People have been transgender all throughout history in different societies. Just because you're now noticing it doesn't mean it hasn't always been there. I understand what you mean trying to justify things. Like, again, this is a you misunderstanding society and the world and history and a lot of things, really, because you're an idiot.
this sort of rate of people identifying as such, which again and also increases this putting these children on medication that they're going to be on for the rest of their life.
You are talking about putting kids on medication for the rest of their life. Well, let's talk about, people like me who have ADD/ADHD, and we're given things like Ritalin, Strattera, Concerta, literal amphetamine. You're okay with that shit, aren't you? Oh yeah, no, let's just pump kids full of pharmaceuticals that, have different brain chemistry, but the second you want to be transgender, that's where it's an issue, I bet, for someone like you, isn't it, buddy?
To try to suppress natural things about them. That's a problem. And again, this is stuff that will alter the life of a
And
child, a
natural in
kid,
what regard?
forever. And the
Maybe
fact that
bodily,
people
but
think, and
not
this is how I'm in
mentally.
bizarro world. I don't know when I got here, guys. I'm not sure because the fact I'm even having to do this these types of videos and talk about this subject is crazy
No one's
because
making
it
you
should
talk
be
about this. You're
understood.
going
And
out of your
once
way
upon
to
a
do
time,
this. No one's forcing you to
and
do
not that long
anything.
ago, if someone said that,
You're just trying to
you could
justify this
trans a
now.
child, they probably would be in prison. Doesn't matter if they're a doctor or not. But
What?
wow, how the turntables, because we're in this bizarro world and land where people not only think that it's okay, they promote the stuff, and that is dangerous.
Again,
But
this
punk's
has
gonna
been
punk, I
happening.
guess.
Again, for someone that claims that they are part of the fucking alt community, you seem to have a very close-minded and narrow idea of what the metal community actually is in regards to what it truly is. It's a lot more liberal than you're giving it credit for and are acting like it is. First and foremost. Secondly, what do you mean punk is gonna punk? The punk rock community has always been supportive of letting people be who they want to be. That's the same of the metal and the alt community as a whole. The fact that you're acting like this is a weird offshoot or some kind of nonsense in regards to this community is absolutely insane to me. And again, I just think that you're a poser from this whole community and that you were just using it to try and get some popularity because you knew that people would follow you. And once you got a following, you could switch to what you actually cared about. I bet that's what actually went down here, but you're just not going to be willing to admit to that kind of thing. Yeah, this one got a little out of hand, but yeah, no, screw that guy entirely. If you have any thoughts, just let me know in the comments section. Please like and subscribe as well. Have a great day, y'all.